Hello, and welcome to Community Matters. My name is Sherrod Halliburton, President of Manatee Community Federal Credit Union, and thank you for joining us today. Today we have a treat. I have a gentleman here with us today who's traveled a pretty far distance to spend a little time with us. I have Jonathan Harrison. Jonathan is the founder and Chief Program Officer for Emerge Financial Wellness. And Jonathan is here all the way from San Francisco, California. As you can see, they don't wear ties in San Francisco, so I'm not wearing a tie today. Jonathan, welcome to our community here in Bradenton, Florida.
Thanks. It's really a pleasure to be here and to think about bringing our program to the county. All
right. Well, hey, let's just jump right into it. Emerge Financial Wellness. Share with our viewers, what is Emerge Financial all about?
Well, I guess I'll start with a little bit of history. We are a wellness program. We actually partner with employers to provide low and moderate wage and low wealth individuals that are employed within their company with a comprehensive wellness benefit so that they can become more financially stable, keep more of their paycheck in their pocket, and begin to save for retirement or for even just a rainy day. So it's a comprehensive program that we started about 4 years ago as a nonprofit. So like a lot of companies popping up throughout the country, we are a social business. We were started by a nonprofit, and our whole focus and reason for being is to help people become more financially stable and to do better and to be less stressed in their lives, especially when they're at work, when they're supposed to be working.
Well, you know, when you talk about financial wellness, you don't hear a lot about financial wellness. You hear a lot about health and wellness. There are a lot of employers that are engaged in health and wellness programs. Let's talk about the distinction between health and wellness and financial wellness and why you think financial wellness needs to get a little more attention.
Well, we know through research that's been done that the leading cause of stress in this country, especially among working folks, is financial or money matters. And so the root cause, getting to the root cause of why there is health unwellness within a population, in this case workers, is you've got to address the financial connection. So financial stress is the leading cause of eating disorders and smoking and even alcohol and drug abuse that's found within the workplace or within the population.
Well, it's really interesting. I've had an opportunity to invite Jonathan to our community. We are involved in a project together. Yeah. You know, as the president of Manatee Community Federal Credit Union, we applied for a grant through the National Credit Union Administration, and that grant was received to allow us to implement financial capability programs. Mm-hmm. Financial capability programs is really just another word for employer financial wellness programs. We looked across the country and stumbled upon Jonathan's program. So we entered into a partnership with Emerge Financial Wellness, applied for the grant, received the grant in part because of our relationship with Jonathan. So personally, I'm very, very excited to have Jonathan in our community, very, very excited to be involved in introducing this concept to the community. Jonathan, talk to us a little bit about your experiences in introducing this financial wellness model through employers and into the community, and what type of difference has it made?
Well, right now we have about 150 employers throughout the country that are signed up for the program. And what happens is we run it similarly to a health wellness program. So what that means is it starts off with a marketing campaign, and the employee, usually through human resources, pushes out the program, usually label that as Financial Wellness Month. And the goal is to get as many employees engaged, meaning enrolled in the program. And the first step is to take a financial wellness risk assessment.
Okay.
So each employee goes online. It's fully mobile optimized.
Okay.
So the program can be accessed through your smartphone or desktop or laptop. And a person goes online and they take a 4-minute wellness assessment for the program to understand what their issues are, if there are any, or at least we pat them on the back and say, keep doing what you're doing. And then after they've assessed themselves, they have the opportunity to sign up for other financial wellness tools. So, for example, we have a monthly credit score product that they can sign up for at no cost to them that gives them a monitoring device so they can monitor their wellness level through their credit score.
Well, that's pretty significant. You know, working at a financial institution, I think it would be a major benefit to an individual to be able to get a monthly copy of their credit score. That would be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, what we like to say is that your credit score is an asset. It could be a liability, unfortunately. For a lot of people, it is a liability. So yes. It's sad that the people that are the most vulnerable, who have had some credit issues, are having to pay more for housing, having to pay more for their, if they're able to afford a car, they're paying more in interest. The total cost of ownership on a house is much greater when they have even 2 or 3 point interest rate difference. So we're trying to help them. Again, our goal as a social mission company is to help them improve their household balance sheet, right? Most people, unfortunately, have negative net worth. We're trying to move them up the ladder. And in order to do that, one of the steps that you got to take up the ladder is improving that credit score, moving someone from subprime to prime. We do that through our counseling as well. So another tool is we try using text messaging as well as emails. We try our darndest to get you to talk to somebody. So many of these folks who don't have a lot of assets don't have any financial guides in their life. So there's really nobody in their, I like to call it their sphere of influence, that is influencing them positively in a way that they can really get back on the right track. If you have a lot of assets, you're getting calls all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, let me help you plan those assets. Even the retirement folks in an employer, they want to talk to people that have money and are saving for retirement because they want to help them to manage it. If someone is living paycheck to paycheck, which 60% of workers are.
60%? Really? That high?
Yeah, there's obviously a problem of folks really not even having enough for a rainy day, as we like to say. There's one statistic that's particularly sort of troubling, is right now more than half of all Americans, when asked, do you have access to $2,000 if you had an emergency? Because the average emergency is $2,000.
Okay.
Maybe it's a car transmission issue, or maybe it's a medical issue. When asked that question, access to, not do you have $2,000 in the bank, but could you access $2,000 within 30 days if you had an emergency? Almost half of Americans said that they could not. So it's a real problem. And imagine yourself, if you were in that situation without any cushion, that creates stress. And obviously that stress is leading to physical health outcomes that aren't pretty.
Now, there's a lot of different programs out there that provide financial literacy. What makes your program unique or different?
Well, there's a number of differences. The first, most obvious one is that we're proactive. So this is a preventative care based business. Our theory of change is we want to get to you before you're in the emergency room. So it's not a call us if you need us type of program. So we're proactively saying we want you to enroll in the program. We want you to be engaged. And so engaged means let us work together at your pace, however you want, so that you can become more financially stable, and we call it resilient. That you're able to weather, you're able to sock away $50 every month so that you eventually will have the $2,000. So that's important to us. The way we do that is we're in touch with you a lot more. So there's the repetition of being continuously engaged with you. So most people who enroll in the program also opt in to receive daily text messages. So they're getting very targeted and relevant content that based on what they told us are their issues or goals that they have.
So I want to get out of credit card debt. What type of messages could I expect to receive?
So you'll receive you'll go through an assessment and you'll tell us that that's your number one priority. And we're always trying to get you to schedule and keep an appointment with our credit counselors, our housing counselors, because their first hour with you is going to be a full credit review. They're going to pull your credit report. It's called a soft pull. And that means it doesn't affect your credit score.
Is it going to cost me anything?
There's no cost to you. And then because your employer generally is going to be providing this to you at no cost. We're lucky in the county that we've got the grant in place, so there's no cost to employers within the county, if any employers are watching. But what that counselor is doing during that first hour is the credit review. And they're going to look for ways in which you can change your ways or pay down your debt, or which credit cards, if you have multiple ones, should be the first ones to pay. Coming up with a plan. So many people probably know they've got to change, but it's daunting to them. It's not that they're that illiterate. It's just where do we start, right? I mean, it's easy if you had a book and someone said, read this book, and where do you start? At the beginning, right? But if you don't have even a list of where to start, that's an important first step. So one of the things that is also different about our program, your counselor is a person that you choose online. So even with your smartphone, you're going to see photos of actual counselors that are within your service area. And then you click on that person and say you want to speak to a woman, you feel more comfortable, or you are a native Spanish speaker, you want to speak to someone who speaks Spanish, great. You can choose that person. And then anytime you have an issue or your subsequent appointments will always be with that person.
Oh, okay. So I can follow up with the same person.
Right.
Wow. Okay. That's
the other thing. So you asked this question around the differentiation. Is we have a partnership with financial institutions in most cases. So we partner with employers but we also partner with financial institutions because we believe in meeting people where they're at. And sometimes the best thing best place to start is to introduce a person who's underbanked or even unbanked to a socially responsible financial institution. So we only work with socially responsible ones,
Okay.
and they're
Well, thank you.
There are luckily a lot out there within the community development credit union
Okay.
industry. And so the focus really is on connecting people, again, to targeted and relevant services provided by our financial partners.
Okay, so essentially, if you have someone who's going through the program who has identified to you that they need access to emergency cash, you are able to introduce them to your financial partner who then would be available to provide that service. Or, one of your participants needs transportation to get to work, and you're able to connect them after they kind of go through the program and seek to get their finances a little better under control. There is a partner that has that product. Yeah. I think that is a very relevant point. Having run a redevelopment agency, worked in the not-for-profit space, we've done financial education, literacy, whatever you want to call it, counseling, and what always was a bit frustrating was you teach people how to budget, you teach people how to make better financial decisions, you talk to people about how to improve their credit, and then they come back and say, but I can't get credit. So everything that you taught me, I can't put into practice.
Right.
So your program gets around that as a problem.
Well, yeah, and because honestly, the best way to get credit is to have credit,
yes,
right? And
yes.
so we do work with community development credit unions that have products like a credit building loan that people can access regardless of if they have a subprime credit score. So
Okay.
normally if they walked into a big bank, they would say, well, come back after your credit score gets raised, and it becomes this vicious cycle. But the other piece is, as you mentioned, auto loans. There are programs offered by your credit union and others where people can get access to the right car for them. Maybe you can talk a little more about what you see at the credit union in terms of where people are coming from in terms of where they're getting access to cars and how much they're costing. We know because we've been working with a lot of partners that people are vulnerable to these what we would call predatory lenders.
And they are just that. Access to transportation, my exposure and experience with individuals who were seeking out strategies to attain reliable transportation came not as the president of a lending institution. I was first exposed to that as the co-chairman of Career Edge, which is a workforce organization. We spend a lot of time and resources working with individuals in our community, giving them the skills to go out and get a job, or giving them the skills to improve their current employment situation. They may be employed with an employer in a certain position, go through a training program, get promoted to another position. We had individuals who could not take that promotion because the promotion would require them to work second shift. Well, you know what? The bus didn't run second shift.
Sure.
So you have an individual who invested time and energy to improve their skill set, was offered an opportunity to make more money, and had to say no because they didn't have access to reliable transportation that would allow them to work that shift. It was at that point in time that I realized transportation is a major issue, started working on strategies to deal with that, and started Reliable Rides. And interestingly enough, as we started talking about the development of Reliable Rides, I was offered an opportunity to work for a lender. So we finished the development of that program at the credit union, but it was not created as a credit union product initially. It was created as a response to the issue of not having reliable transportation. So I see firsthand, the benefit of the programs that you're developing. As a lender, I welcome the opportunity to partner with an organization that's socially responsible, that's developing pathways. At the credit union, we have a relationship with a counseling service. And I get the reports, and very few of our members use the counseling service. And when they use it, it is generally in response to a crisis situation. So what you're doing, if I'm understanding it correctly, is kind of creating a more proactive program, allowing people to have a plan that they work through, and then they kind of know what they need to talk to a counselor about. Because it's one of those things about not knowing what you don't know. So you call a counselor, what are you going to say to them? Well, with your program, Emerge Financial Wellness, people are getting a roadmap, if you will. And so when they make that call to the counselor, they know that it's surrounding the ideal of trying to deal with their credit card debt, or trying to save for college, or trying to save for a home. So they are a little more comfortable, I would imagine, making that call.
And obviously, I think we all fall prey to best intentions, that we will sign up for something, even, again, back to my book analogy, we'll buy a book on how to, it's a self-help book on I'm going to improve my life this way and that way. And, we have the best intention to read that book and, obviously before even doing something with the recommendations, but then life happens. And so just being told about something once, which unfortunately within the way human resources works within a company, a lot of times you're told something at the beginning of the year. It's called open enrollment, where you're enrolling for your benefits, and then you're not really reminded throughout the year that you even have that benefit. So with Emerge, because of our technology solution, we know you have the best intentions. We know it's hard, and sometimes change is really hard, especially around areas where you feel vulnerable. But we're going to meet you where you are at, and keep reminding you that you still have these best intentions, and maybe you'll catch up with life, so then you can begin to engage. And so it is. We have an advisory board that's a lot of behavioral psychologists are on the board. We even have some behavioral, a top behavioral economist on the board. And what they've done is they've changed our, what we would call our technology platform in such a way that it really can encourage and be successful in prompting you to do the right thing. Right? So we sort of help you do what you want to do. We're not trying to subliminally change your behavior, but kind of lean you or nudge you in the right direction. So here's a quick example. When people apply for loans on our site with our partner credit unions, they are asked a question around saving money while they repay, because of course you're having this opportunity to repay the loan over usually about 16 payments or 8 months. So what we used to do is say, would you like to save as you repay this loan? Please fill in this blank with how much money, and then we'll calculate it. Didn't really work. But then we started working with the advisors of these behavioral psychologists, and they said, why don't we change the wording and say, was what we say now, people like you who earn $35,000 are able to save $25. would you like to join them? And nobody wants to, people think that they want to be independent and free will, but really,
part of the group.
they really want to be as good or better than the group.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're seeing about 20% of folks now who are saving $25 or more as they're repaying their loans, which really, if you start doing the math, that's like $400 that people have at the end of a repayment. And that's really, again, the key is financial resiliency. If you have a little nest egg, you feel a little bit less stressed. If you're going to work every day stressed, you're becoming less productive. And for the employer, that really means it's affecting their bottom line.
That actually is a very good point, and we're actually getting close to closing out, but I'd like to move directly into my last question. And you kind of alluded to it. Why would an employer want to be involved in a program such as this?
Well, there are metrics when you're looking at operations or human resources. Employers are very concerned about retention, turnover, absenteeism, sick time usage. Again, think about the financial health, physical health connections that we mentioned earlier. And the focus is focus. It's about reducing the amount of stress that people are bringing to work so they're less distracted. There's a HR term called presenteeism, means coming to work and not working.
Right.
So the focus is developing a healthier and more productive workforce for the employer so they have a more productive population, and they can be the hero.
You know, and Jonathan, you and I have had some very extensive conversations, and I can stay here and talk to you all day. It's really fascinating stuff. Unfortunately, our show is coming to an end. But those of our guests who want to find out a little bit more about Jonathan's Emerge Financial Wellness, what's the website? You want to share that?
Right. It's emergefinancialwellness.com, and that's more focused to the employer.
Okay.
And then they could go to emergebenefit.com as well to learn more about how they can get involved as employers or individuals. And this is a program that's open to anyone throughout the county.
Okay. And I would just like to say, for any local employers and or individuals who want to take advantage of this program, feel free to contact us at Manatee Community Federal Credit Union as well. And we can be reached at 748-7704. My extension is 103. I'd love to talk to you about our specific project. I want to thank you for joining us today. I hope you found this information interesting. I personally find Jonathan and his organization fascinating. They're doing some wonderful things across the country. Thanks. And thank you for joining us on Community Matters, the place where community really does matter. Have a wonderful day.